Namaste. Today we will be talking about the second Niyama in the practice of yoga. The Niyamas are the practices that we can practice without restraint. We can't do enough of these sort of practice. And so this is the 10 preliminary practices, Yama and Niyama of yoga, that's essential that we be practicing before we can expect the higher benefits of yoga from our higher practice of yoga, like the meditation and mantra practices. And so the second niyama is Santoṣa. Santoṣa means contentment. It means being happy. And really, this is a very important one. It's a very good one, because for us to be content, we have to be egoless. If you think about it, anytime you have some problem, anytime there's some trouble, it's egoism. If you take yourself out of the equation, what problem is there? Any problem that you can possibly conceive of. If you take that selfish I out of the scenario, there's no problem anymore. It's all just ego when we have a problem. And so practicing contentment is combating egoism. And it can be difficult. We get challenged by certain things. In an ashram setting, it's very difficult because that spiritual energy is there, bringing up things for people. And that's something we see a lot in ashrams. We see dramas developing between the people living there in the ashram because the energy brings up their past karmas, these things that's unresolved in their subconscious mind from the past. Someone says something and all of a sudden all these memories and feelings from something our mother or father said to us when we were infant comes up. And of course the mind tries to make sense of it. It can't be happy. It can't be at peace. If you're happy, if you're at peace, you'll be productive. You'll be a useful member of society. If you're unhappy, you'll just be a drain on everybody in your life, everyone around you. People often push away all their friends, their family, by simply complaining. My guru used to say, don't complain. And if it's necessary, complain. If it's necessary to bring attention to some trouble, then complain. Otherwise, don't complain. Just practice being content. If you're content, the Lord is content. If you want to realize the Lord, see the qualities of the Lord manifesting in your life and your experience, you've got to be like the Lord. You've got to be content. You've got to not be all about egoism and me and mine and this and I want this and I want that. You have to practice contentment, whatever difficulties come. God won't give mystical powers and mystical knowledge to someone who's very self-serving, very selfish. And the way we see this in a person is how content they are. Especially if a great thing happens to them, if they're not celebrating, they're not, oh yay, I'm so happy. And if a bad thing happens and they're not, oh woe is me, oh no. Then, you know, they have equanimity, they become balanced through the practice of yoga, the practice of Santoṣa, contentment. But it's got to be genuine. We can't repress. A lot of people will do that too. They say, oh, I'm supposed to be content, so let me just repress all my bad emotions. No, you have to actually not care. And that's the problem when we do the sadhana. A lot of emotions come up and it's intense for people. What does it matter what other people say? In the ashram, we get so many dramas. People, because these feelings come up to purify a person. And so, you know, the guru will say, oh, you come with me and you work on this task. And then other people in the ashram will say, oh no, why does that person get to go with the guru? What did they do to deserve it? And their mind starts trying to put them down and they're comparing and they're unhappy. That's why I'm not a big fan of the yoga classes. I don't think yoga class is a good idea. It says in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, yoga practice done in secret will give progress. Yoga practice done publicly would just make a mockery of yoga. It will not give a person any progress. Because people have this competitive nature. And if you're doing the yoga in the class with other people, they start looking and who's bending further? Oh my gosh, he's bending further than me. I need to say something bad about him to make him to look bad so that I can look better, because if he looks too bad, then maybe people will think I look better. Okay, so for contentment, we have to not care what people think, not care what people say, not care what people do. Things in life will go against our expectations. You apply for a job, you apply to get into a college, and you may not get it. You may get turned down. I've seen many young Indian people applying to the medical school, and not all of them make it. And a lot of them get very upset. Of course, if you're practicing contentment, you can say, well, this is a blessing from the Lord. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting what I expected. But there's got to be some blessing. And that's what I tell myself for 5 years. We've had this property. But the legal authorities won't give us the permits so we can pray here and have the public come here for classes and for puja ceremonies. And that's okay. It's the Lord's will. And so we move on to another place. We can keep trying if we want. But in the meantime, we could sit and complain, woe is me, I'll never do it, oh no, or we can do some positive thing. We started the Patreon in this time, so we're reaching more people. We connected with more people online. We had COVID time also. COVID's a great example. A lot of people got disappointed in this time. They lost their job, they lost their home, they lost loved one, their family left, all kinds of things I saw happening. We have to practice contentment, because when we're not content, it just exposes how egotistical we are. There's so much of drama that we see, and especially around the energy of a spiritual teacher, because it's exposing within people that from the past, these things that they were not feeling content about. And so once we feel content, the way the spiritual practice goes, then one piece that's giving us some false support external to us will come out. If you're happy with you're feeling healthy, then maybe you feel a little sick and you've got to do it. You're happy with people's praises and compliments, so maybe someone will ridicule you and criticize you instead. Now, or can you be content? That's the challenge. And for years in our spiritual practice, that's the challenge. A lot of people in this world, we see they have a lot of support. There's always people to rush in and comfort them. There's always people to support them financially. There's always all kinds of support for them, because they simply couldn't survive without it. They become so depressed they might even kill themselves. But someone who's very spiritual, that will be an individual, be doing their own thing, and they may not have much support. They may have a lot of criticism. Those that are closest to them may turn against them. They often probably will turn against them. And so you have that support, and now you don't have that support. And so think about it. What false support are you relying upon? Are you relying upon people saying good things about you, having people there, having money in the bank, having a job, having job security? Can you be content without the job? That's why I've called before coronavirus, I've called Karuna virus. Karuna is the name of the goddess. That means she's very merciful and compassionate. She has mercy, and she has empathy, and she has sympathy, and she's helping everybody like a comforting mother. Oh, I'm sorry you hurt your elbow, my dear. You're kissing it and bandage it and wash it for him. So say, it's okay, let me give you some ice cream, make you feel happy. That's not the right way to do it, though. You eat the ice cream, you'll be repressing the feelings. It's better that we feel. If we feel these things, then we can purge it, we can release it, but only if we feel it and witness it with detachment. If we feel that sadness and say, I feel sad, so some other person, I'm not responsible for this. That's the height of egoism, to say, I'm not responsible for what I'm feeling. There's not much that we have any control over in life. You can't control where you live. You can't control what city you go to. You can't control what job you will work. It's all been predestined in your astrology. A good astrologer will tell you the day you'll die, the day you'll get fired from your job, the day you'll get hired to your job, what job you'll be working, what city you'll live in. You have no choice in these matters. Only thing you have any choice is whether you're happy or unhappy about it, really. That's where we have a little bit of free will until you become like a yogi, is in your state of mind. Yet people say, I'm not responsible. The one thing they actually have some responsibility for, some ability to change, they don't take any responsibility. They say, I feel sad, so someone else is to blame. Why do I feel sad? And that's why I call it the Karuna virus. It's had a lot of compassion. This virus has separated the spiritual people from the non-spiritual people. Everyone's faced some difficulties of some sort in this time because things have changed. Life has not been so easy. There were so many things people could do before to go and to be distracted. So many outer supports. They feel good about themselves because they can go and be a part of some job and some social situations. People can go to the party, to the dance club. They can go to the football competition, the race car tournament, or whatever you call it, the music concert. They can go and they can see Katy Perry or whoever. I don't know. You know, and so people have so many things they can do, and all of a sudden they can't do it. And the mass shooters, even now, they're out of a job because the people can't gather in mass anywhere. And so how are they going to shoot a big group of people? You can't do it with COVID. So people, the options that were there, it's no longer there for people. And so there's some people who they have reinvented themselves in this time. They lost one job, they had to close their physical store, so they made a greater online presence. They found a way to work from home. They found other things to do. Even if it's not work, maybe they found some great hobbies and other ways to benefit the society. And then there's other people that are just sitting waiting for the end of this situation. They're saying, when will COVID be over and I can go get a job? And it seems like it's over and people are getting excited, and then Delta variant comes. And so people are now, we might have to wear the mask again. They might start doing other things, who knows? So people who are waiting, they're very unhappy. And so the ego is coming out. In the same way at the ashrams, the ego comes out. We see it in ashrams. You'll see a lot of drama between the devotees. They're bumping heads. They're not getting along with one another because they're struggling to see what's happening. What's happening is that it's all being exposed to them, whatever their false supports outside of themselves are. And they're blaming those around them. So people get in disputes and arguments, and the people are bickering because they're struggling to get free from all that. And it may seem like a very negative thing, but in a way it's a very positive thing, because at least they're looking at these things within. They have the opportunity now to work through it, to release it, if they can find a way to be detached. So many other people, it's just completely unconscious. It's driving them. They have no free will in this world. They're just doing whatever these unconscious impulses in them are telling them to do. At least the ashram people, they're introspective, and so they're becoming aware of these things. And because they're in that sacred setting, and because they're doing the spiritual practices, it starts to come up for them. And they may feel very burdened by ego. They may feel very negative, and they may feel like they have a lot of trouble, a lot of struggle, but that's because they're working on it, they're focused on it. Really, they're probably more at peace than other people out in the world. If you go and take them to just to some public place, to a park, to a store, and you compare them to the other people, probably they're more peaceful. But you see them struggling because their life has become like a practice. And so we've got to be careful not to try to force ourselves to be at the end of the path, not to try to be perfect if we're not perfect. When my guru passed from his physical body, I started crying. I felt like the great light had been lost in this world, because he had been a great light who enabled me to be able to see spiritual things I had not seen before. And I knew that teaching we should be content. I knew that teaching we should be happy for the Guru, because his soul is free from the Maya. Even the realized souls, especially now in Kali Yuga, they're limited by Maya. They're less great than they were in the Sat Yuga. they're less realized, and they're bound by Maya, bound by the senses and the body to some extent, at least. Even the realized souls, and they're bound to suffer. My guru had cancer. He took on a lot of karmas from a lot of other people, and it gave him cancer, and he died at a relatively young age. At a very young age, his hair turned white, and his face got all wrinkly because he's taking on these karmas from other people. He's experiencing that suffering. He had the cancer. And at the end, he stopped eating food because his body was dying anyway. He said, I'll just fast. He said, I need a new body. His body was no longer working with him. He didn't identify with the body. He didn't say, oh no, I'm dying. He said, I need a new body now. And he stopped eating food. And he was suffering. There was pain. He took some painkillers, they say, some analgesic medicines to ease the pain at that time of transition for him from the physical body. And so they say we should be happy. He's free from the pain. He's going to be closer to Lord Shiva. He didn't leave. He's still there. He's come in dreams since then and blessed all kinds of people that I know. A lot of my students tell me he comes in their dreams. He's still very active. He's still here with us. But still, to me, I felt like some light was lost, and I felt sad, and so I was crying. And that's better. Maybe it's not the ideal. I need to keep practicing my contentment. It's not the ideal, but it's better than saying, oh yeah, I'm fine when you're not fine. If you're feeling sadness, you've got to cry and release it. Don't make sense of it. You're not depressed because someone insulted you. You're not depressed because you lost your job. There's so much we always have going for us, so much support we always have from the universe. Even if you were to lose everything, all the support you need would come from somewhere else. And that's the virus has shown a lot of people this. They lost one job, they found another way. People have found a way to continue to live their lives, even though they don't have what they expected. All of a sudden, they don't have the support of their family. They don't have the support of the job. They don't have the support of the social network they were going to meet with every day. And that's what we do in our practice. Sometimes we choose to give things up as an austerity, as a spiritual discipline. Other times, the situation forces us to. The more we do our spiritual practice, the quicker all this gets, the more we get challenged. And, it's just always the goal. Reduce the egoism and be content. Practice contentment. And this is a practice. They call it yoga practice. They don't call it yoga, do it one time and get it perfectly right the first time. They call it yoga practice. Because we've got to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. And as soon as you're doing fine, then something comes to challenge you. And it will always keep happening that way. And it will happen more and more for those who are sincere in their practice. And so always rise to the challenge. Always practice being content. Every morning, wake up and ask yourself, how am I feeling? Am I feeling scared? Am I feeling worried about the future? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling depressed? Am I feeling angry about things? And if you're feeling anything but happy and content, tell your mind, no, 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 no. It's like you're training a baby, training a puppy. Puppy likes to eat your shoes and crazy things like this. You tell the puppy, no. And does it again, no, no, no. And then reward the puppy. Okay, good job. Give a treat. Tell your mind, no, no, no. You're not going to be depressed. We're going to do something fun this morning. Reward your mind for being happy. We're going to go and work in the garden because I love working in the garden. We're going to listen to this nice spiritual song that I like. We're going to take a nice bath and soothe the body. Rub some nice Ayurvedic thylam into the body or whatever. Give yourself little rewards. Cook a nice dinner for yourself. Give yourself rewards and give yourself good reasons to be happy. There's always reasons to be happy if you look around. There's never a reason to be depressed ultimately. There's always a reason to be thankful, always a reason to be happy. If you can find the reason to be thankful, that's the key. because everything is a blessing. Karuna has been a blessing to the spiritual seekers. To the materialistic people, it's been a curse, a true curse, because it's devastated people materially. It's blessed people spiritually. And so that's what I mean when I say that coronavirus has separated the spiritual people from the other people. Those who are benefiting from this situation, those who are enjoying it, those who have been able to, or they've found a way to maintain or to regain, and more importantly to regain, because it's not about maintaining contentment. It's about being humble and honest with ourselves, to admit when we're losing that contentment, and then to do the practice to find a way to become content again. For those who have been challenged and then they regain, they are making true spiritual progress. That's the spiritual ones in this world, and those are the ones who can start to do the practice of yoga. Without that practice in place, there's no use in saying the mantras, no use in doing homam or any of this kind of thing, puja. No use even in doing the asana. You won't get any spiritual benefit. Why? Because however much you've been challenged by the coronavirus, you'll be challenged many times more by what comes up as you do the mantra. As you say the mantra, not just past years in this lifetime start to come up, many past lifetimes, and all the repressed emotions and all the negative responses that we haven't processed, we haven't released. Retrain yourself. Think about things that make you unhappy. Think about things that make you scared. And replay those memories like a movie in your brain and train yourself. Retrain yourself to respond differently. That's okay. I did the best I could. I have no reason to be afraid. I'm happy. I'm content. Instead of being angry, instead of being sad, instead of being disappointed, retrain yourself. Go back to each of those memories that troubles you. And retrain yourself to be content, to be peaceful, to be happy, to be thankful. Find the reason to be thankful for all those things, and then it will be easy. Then it's just a matter of walking the steps. You're blocked until maybe you can feel grateful. It may not be possible to take those steps. So that's maybe the key to the practice. It's a very, very simple practice, but it's crucial. It's a crucial importance, because the universe is not going to give mystical power of healing to someone who's very selfish and depressed and upset and angry and spiteful. And the universe is not going to give mystical, magical powers to someone who's just going to curse everybody with it. It's going to give the mystical powers, the healing powers, the mystical awareness, the intuitive knowledge to a person who's very content, who has equanimity, who's not troubled by their enemies attacking them, who's trying to bless and help everybody. Be wasted on someone who doesn't have that contentment. So the practice is very, very important. Om.